What's up everyone, it's me. So we got to talk about this because the situation just got real ugly. Earlier this year I made 2 videos talking about BlackRock's land grab. In both of those videos I talked about their partnership with the Australian company, Macquarie, and how they were buying up power plants around the country. And now it looks like they have bought out Macquarie completely. And so I want to go over the details and what this means for us, because this is not good, people. In my previous video about BlackRock, I started off by asking, is this company trying to buy America? And unfortunately, the answer to that question appears to be yes. So in the last couple years, this company BlackRock has been quietly buying up data centers, power plants, pipelines, and other essential infrastructure here in the US. And it seems like now they're doing the same thing all over the world. BlackRock recently announced that they purchased Global Infrastructure Partners for $8.5 billion in cash. According to BlackRock, Global Infrastructure Partners manages $39 billion worth of infrastructure investments across Europe, North America, and Australia. This includes $25 billion in equity and $14 billion in debt investments. Now GIP's portfolio consists of roughly 175 assets, including airports, utilities, energy, and other infrastructure. They own 13 airports in Europe and Australia, 60 energy assets, including natural gas, power plants, and renewable energy, as well as 22 transport projects and 29 digital infrastructure sites. Now, BlackRock already owned $38 billion worth of infrastructure investments, and these $39 billion from GIP would bring their total holdings to $77 billion. So what this means is that BlackRock has now become one of the largest owners of critical infrastructure in the world. And unfortunately, this also means that they have increased their land holdings as well. Now, the reason why this is such a big deal is because most people don't realize that when you buy a power plant, you also get the mineral rights to the land that it sits on. So if a company like BlackRock owns the land and then leases it to a power plant, then they're getting paid rent for that land every single month. But if they actually own the power plant, then they're the ones collecting all of the money and they don't have to pay anyone else. So this is a huge source of income for companies like BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street. In fact, according to their website, BlackRock manages $9 trillion in assets, but $2.4 trillion of those assets are in real estate. So basically they're not just a financial institution, they're a massive real estate holding company as well. And the worst part is that nobody even knows about it. Like I said before, I've made 2 other videos about BlackRock, and in those videos I tried to keep things as neutral as possible, because I wanted to stick to the facts. But I had no idea that things would turn out to be this bad. So, I was kind of hoping that maybe I was wrong and that BlackRock was trying to buy up all of our infrastructure and our land, but obviously that didn't happen. And in today's video I am gonna read some actual quotes from people who live in Minnesota, because they're really worried about what this means for them. Because in Minnesota, BlackRock owns 4 major utilities: gas, electric, water, and heat. And so these people are kind of freaking out right now. This story was covered by a local news station in Minnesota, and here's what they wrote. BlackRock is a company that literally bets on cities failing. It's buying up bankrupt cities and profiting off of our misery. BlackRock is about as far from being a benevolent entity as you can get. So let me give you a quick overview of what's going on here. BlackRock owns the power plant that provides electricity and natural gas to 350,000 customers in Minneapolis and St. Paul. They also own Minnesota Energy Resources, which provides natural gas to 50,000 customers in southern Minnesota. And finally, they own the Northern States Power Company, which provides electricity to 1.3 million customers throughout Minnesota. Now the electricity that these customers use comes from 22 power plants, and that's another thing that BlackRock owns. Now let us take a look at some of the comments from the article and see what people are saying. Here's one comment that says, I moved to St. Paul from New York City to get away from corporations controlling everything. Guess what? They followed me. Then we have another comment that says, so why is this not front page news? Why are we allowing this to happen? And where are our elected officials on this issue? Are they asleep at the switch? It doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. We need to know what our leaders are doing to protect Minnesota from these corporate takeovers. Now, I understand why people are worried about this. If BlackRock decides that they want to sell these power plants, then the new owner is going to have full control over the land that it sits on, and this includes the mineral rights underneath. Now, BlackRock says that they don't plan on selling any of their power plants, but they did say that before and then they sold them anyway. And what happens if they get into a lawsuit or bankruptcy proceedings or something unexpected happens? Nobody knows. Here's another comment that says, this is such a big deal that if a news outlet actually had the guts to do an investigative piece on it, they would probably win a Pulitzer Prize for it. Then we have another comment that says, we need to remember that BlackRock has no loyalty to this country. Its only goal is to make money for investors. They would not hesitate to strip mine the land and lay off thousands of workers, not to mention sell off our personal information to the highest bidder. Then we have this comment here that says, this is why the Fed needs to start raising rates again. These globalist hedge funds are borrowing trillions of dollars in the US and buying up our infrastructure so they can profit from it. But if they can't pay back the loans with the artificially low interest rates, then they're screwed. Another person said, yeah, I wonder if they factored in the cost of the lawsuits that are sure to come against them when it turns out that they ignored safety protocols in order to cut costs. How many lawsuits have there been in the last 10 years against energy companies? I'll bet they're on the hook for hundreds of millions of dollars already, and that doesn't include the fines and penalties they face, plus the cost of the lawyers to defend themselves. No way that a hedge fund wants to take that on. And here's another comment that says, how does a community fight back against an entity with billions of dollars? Not to mention the ability to leverage its holdings to affect governments worldwide. Who's next? Hospitals, schools, what do they want? We are mere pawns in their game. Now, it seems like people are starting to realize that this is UNT, like BlackRock's, buying up commercial real estate. This is much, much worse because it's affecting the basic infrastructure that everybody uses. Then we have this comment here that says, they will destroy the aquifer if they have to make a buck. People forget that oil companies drill wastewater injection wells near aquifers and destroy the drinking water supply for hundreds of miles around. A corporation will destroy anything if it makes them a few extra bucks. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely something to worry about, and I think that people should have the right to know who's buying up all of our infrastructure. And then we should also know what's gonna happen to the land that it's sitting on, because if this company thinks that they're gonna go in, squeeze everybody, get all the profits, and then leave the communities in ruin, then I think that's gonna be a problem. But let me know what you guys think. Is this something that you guys are worried about, or do you think that it's no big deal? Let me know in the comments section below. Now, with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to subscribe. Also, bless you and your family, and I will see you in the next one.